Okay, so the past few months and few years, there's been a ton of talk about aliens and UFOs, and even certain projects like the Blue Beam Project. Now, this kind of makes us question, are aliens real? And if they are real, what does that mean for Christianity? Does that mean Christianity is false? Does it maybe prove it true? What does that mean? Now, I know we all used to love watching history.com and watching them talk about aliens and show us different UFO sightings and whatnot. But I think the big question is, what would happen if we confirm that aliens are real? What would happen if an alien was standing in front of you? Would it shake your faith? Would it improve your faith? What do you think? All right, so let's start from the beginning. One of the earliest UFO sightings that we have on file comes from the 1940s. Now, this is typically seen as the first UFO sighting, although there's a lot of skeptics that say that there was even UFO sightings in the ancient tablets, and that's what they were showing in the pictures and the inscriptions. So the first one is typically being seen as the one in Mount Rainier in 1947. This one is rather familiar because it was the first big sighting we've ever had where an individual has recorded they saw something that they could seem to guarantee not to be like on Earth. Now, this does kind of make us wonder, why was there no UFO sightings written down in the early ages? So why was there no UFO sightings by people in, the first 10 centuries? Where were those UFO sightings? I think that this kind of tends to have a lot of people then led to believe that, these UFO sightings are just merely people misinterpreting special aircraft that we have and they don't really understand what it is. Which would make sense because obviously we didn't have these special aircraft in the first 10 to 15 centuries. Now, there's two sides of the equation and two sides to the argument of what happens if we truly did find out there's aliens. There's one side of the equation that says if there's aliens, God probably doesn't exist because you would figure God would tell us about this. And so these other creatures are showing us maybe he doesn't really care about us as much as we think. And the other side is a little bit more broad. They can have a couple of different views. The other side's argument is that these individuals that we call aliens could be demons, they could be angels, or they could just be some other creation that God didn't tell us about. Now, Father Seraphim Rose, a priest of the Orthodox Church, talks about this. He says the UFO phenomenon is a sign to Orthodox Christians to walk all the more cautiously and soberly on the path to salvation, knowing that we can be tempted and seduced not merely by false religion, but even seemingly physical objects which just catch the eye. Now, while he neither confirms nor denies whether aliens exist, he gives us some good insight here. He compares being tricked by aliens and UFO sightings to being tricked by false religions, which is very interesting because, as we know, in the Orthodox Church, the fathers believe that false religions can come about by demons. Now, this would fall in line with the view that these aliens could possibly be demons trying to deceive people and try to lure them away from the truth. But now, the second part of the statement, he also goes about, and he says, people also are tricked by physical objects which just catch the eye, which can be seeming to mean that he's saying that these objects might merely just be another plane or another helicopter, but that we're tricked by our eyes and we don't truly know what it is. Now, he goes on further to talk about this even more. He says he knows, referring to the Orthodox Christian, that man is not to evolve into something higher, nor has he any reason to believe that there are higher evolved beings on other planets. So now it's seeming to say he doesn't truly believe aliens exist because he's saying we as Christians believe that we are the highest intelligent beings, that God created us in his image, and there shouldn't be anything else. So to believe that there is something on another planet that is even higherly evolved than us, that is not a demon, but another mere creation of God, would be foolish. So, do Christians believe in aliens? Well, that's kind of up to you. There is no objective standard that we hold to as to whether or not aliens exist. But as the fathers teach, and as the early Christians teach, these things can be deceptive. But I would say, regardless of whether or not they do exist, I don't think that this proves nor disproves God. I think they could exist and God could very well exist, or they could not exist, and we'd still be the same as we are. Remember that in Christianity, we're supposed to test all things by the Spirit, all things by their fruits. So if one day you wake up and you're sleeping on a trampoline and you look up in the sky and you get abducted by aliens, you know what to do. But on a serious note, guys, be sure to protect yourself from any evil spirits or demons. Just be cautious. Be cautious of everything you see, and always test everything in the faith. And please, if you do see an alien sighting, please record it in 4K. Don't record it on a potato.